This morning, prices at the pump, the national average up another 4 cents to $3.88 a gallon. My eights are very bad there. That, of course, the price of gas. This is diesel right there, which is even more expensive. But it gets to the prices that we're paying for everything, the cost of living and the potential political impact. With us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry Enten. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So the president, how do voters see him on the issue of the cost of living and prices, and how does it compare to, say, when he was elected?
You know, I would say that this is the most troublesome sign that I have seen for the President of the United States and the Republican Party so far. What are we talking about? Well, let's take a look here. Voters on Trump and the cost of living. You go back when he was reelected back in October of 2024, he was beating Kamala Harris by 3 points on the cost of living, right? Look at his net approval rating now. Woo! Down underwater we go. His net approval at a record low, 41 points below water. You can't win when you're at 41 points below water on the cost of living. Kamala Harris couldn't win. The Democratic Party couldn't win. And I'm here to tell you that there's a better chance that I root for the New York Yankees than Donald Trump and the Republican Party winning when he's 41 points below water.
This was March 12th to March 16th. We could see even more, gas prices rise and prices go up in the coming days and weeks with the Iran war. So this number could get even worse. What about independence?
Yeah, what about independence? You think this 41 points below water is bad? Take a look at independence. It's even worse. I mean, 60 points underwater when it comes to Trump and the cost of living among independents. Again, a record low. You go back to October of 2024. He was winning on this issue over Kamala Harris by 11 points. Look at that switcheroo. That is a 71-point switcheroo in the wrong direction for Donald Trump when we're coming to the cost of living and independence. And this, my dear friends, is just a political nightmare waiting to happen for the Republican Party come the midterm elections.
I mean, why? Do people really care about the cost of living?
You know, yes, they do, Mr. Berman. They do care about the cost of living. Why was Donald Trump reelected back in 2024? It was the cost of living. It was the number one issue, okay? Number one issue, top election issue, cost of living. 38% of Americans said it was so back in October of 2024. Look now, it's the same percentage. If anything, it's a point higher, though it's within the margin of error. 39%. Simply put, I am saying this loud and proud. You cannot win an election when you are the incumbent party and the top issue is the cost of living and you're the president of the United States and your net approval rating on it is 41 points underwater. I mean, you're with Greg Louganis at this point, and with independents, 60 points underwater. What, are you kidding me? You cannot win. If you're the president and you're the Republican Party and you're not addressing this issue, wave adios amigos, goodbye, see you later, your House majority, and may very well be your Senate majority as well.
You're saying it loud, which is very unusual for you.
I know,
Harry.
It's extremely unusual. A lot of coffee this morning.
Let's talk about inflation and what the prediction markets are saying, what direction they see it going forward.
Yeah, okay, you talk about 60 points underwater, you talk about 41 points underwater overall. You know, when we're talking about what the prediction markets, Kalshi prediction markets have, Chance March's CPI year over year is above February's 2.4%. It's going in the wrong direction. 95% chance that inflation rises in the month of March. So you got the number one issue that is killing the incumbent party, killing the president right now, and it is going in the wrong direction with gas prices going higher. I'm just going to lay back on my Yiddish. Oy vey. Oy vey.
Yeah, no, the political cost of this could be going up soon. Harry, and thank you very much for this.
We are tracking rising gas prices amid the war with Iran. U.S. Vice President JD Vance addressed the climbing costs during an appearance in Michigan on Wednesday.
The president said this, and I certainly agree with it. This is a temporary blip. Okay, what happened under the Biden administration is that gas prices were high for 4 years. Gas prices are higher right now. And frankly, they're not even as high as they were during certain parts of the Biden administration because of what's going on in the Middle East. It's not going to last forever. We've got a rough road ahead of us for the next few weeks, but it's temporary.
U.S. gas prices have risen 86 cents per gallon on average since the start of the war and Iran's closure of the Strait of Hormuz. In a bid to help offset those costs, the Trump administration announced it is temporarily waiving the Jones Act, which will allow foreign flag ships to transport oil and gas between U.S. ports for the next 60 days. The U.S. Federal Reserve is predicting the disruption of the global energy markets will be relatively short-lived, but is giving itself some wiggle room. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says we just don't know how things are going to shake out. What we do know is that interest rates will not be going down yet. As expected, the Fed voted to keep benchmark lending rates unchanged at 3.5% and 3.25%.
You can worry about all of the ways that oil-related commodities go into manufacturing and that kind of thing. The truth is it's completely out of our hands, and we just, like everybody else, we have to just wait and see what happens. And it'll come down to how long, the current situation lasts, and then what are the effects on prices, and then how do consumers react and that kind of thing. Really, I wouldn't speculate in any way, and there's really not a lot we can do other than kind of watch and see.
Powell went on to say that a rate cut won't happen until there's progress on inflation and the overall performance of the economy. Joining me now to talk about that, Ryan Patel, Senior Fellow with the Drucker School of Management at Claremont Graduate University, joining us live here in Los Angeles. Ryan, thanks for being with us. This idea of this being temporary, do you buy that?
If it makes us feel better, yes, sure. I mean, I think the temporary piece of what, Jerome Powell also mentioning too, right? The interest rate's not going anywhere. That's the easiest decision he's made.
Yeah.
Right. And I think part of this is the spotlight's not on him no more. Right. The spotlight really is what we're not talking about.
We're not talking about firing Jerome Powell. That's like 85 news cycles ago.
And we're not saying when is it going to come down.
Yeah.
You can't answer that question based on what is going on right now. And, inflation, oil prices, crisis, all those things are interconnected.
So the interest rate thing, real quickly, what does that mean for the average person? How does that affect their daily life?
Yeah, I mean, if you were hoping to refi a mortgage, or you were hoping to get these interest rates to go lower so you could do something with it, to me, the timeline's just further out, right? I mean, the whole point of last year when you and I were speaking was how fast can we recover and how fast can it unlock home prices, the real estate markets. Now it's got to take a little bit longer.
Yeah, so we've been showing throughout the night this live picture of where crude oil prices are at. In the last hour, they were at 111, which is up from yesterday. It was like 100. Yep. How high do we think they can go? How high have they ever gone before?
Yeah, right. Historical prices, right? 140, 150 in the 2 decades ago. And even when the oil prices in the 1970s, we've seen spikes like this. The issue here of this time why it's different is that 20% of the oil that goes through the strait, right? That to me is a huge thing, and we're so interconnected and does make an impact to global other aspects as well. And you just did some breaking news before I even walked in here that there's more attacks occurring oil fields, which is not even in what markets have even priced in going into tomorrow and today. And we saw Asia markets already reacting to it. So, we got to buckle down.
And we just saw that oil price went up $1 in the last hour, just as we were talking. So what kind of position is the U.S. now in because of what we're seeing in the Strait of Hormuz? This is impacting all these different countries in different ways. Who does it benefit? Who's really hurting right now?
Yeah, I mean, right now, in the conversation, you would think it's the U.S., but really they're at the bottom. They're really kind of more insulated than Asia, for example, when you think of China, Japan, and India, and South Korea, that gets a lot of their oil from the Middle East. Then you kind of go down the route to emerging markets who doesn't have, maybe Pakistan, Bangladesh, that doesn't have the currency to kind of withstand, or the reserves to withstand like the U.S. can. And then finally, countries like Italy and Germany in the EU also have an impact, where the U.S. is in a better position than they had been compared to a decade ago, where they can go to the reserves and insulate some of it better than before.
I mean, the U.S. has more energy independence than we used to because of some of these decisions that Republicans would say to drill, baby, drill. But it's pretty good to have some of that going on right now. So let's talk about where we are for everybody watching us right now. Everybody's gas prices are going to get more expensive. Probably going to see inflation, right? And we're going to see prices on everything get more expensive. So how should we prepare? What should we be doing?
Well, I think first off, right, if we are going to go down that route, you can't be caught off surprise of going, let me wait until it gets there. Let me wait until it gets to $140 and $150 per barrel, or 40% more. That's not a plan or a strategy. I think part of oil or gas, for those of the average consumer, be very efficient with how you spend and drive. Right? If you go to the grocery store 4 times a week, make that 1 time a week and get everything you need that week. And I know it sounds very small, But overall, when the gas prices have increased 40% and you have to drive to work every day, you have to fill gas every you have to go and get that gas at a price that you feel like you can. And so all those little things to me matter when it comes to that. And also, don't assume this is not just about gas prices. This is about global supply chain.
Right.
So global supply chain leads to what? Manufacturing, food. So pay attention to those prices too when you're going to the grocery store as well. So again, I don't want people to figure I'm just paying attention to the gas prices. It is a supply chain problem that we're facing right now.
That everything could be more expensive, and it's not as easy for these ships to move. And then what happens as a result of that? And you suggested that if you've got a boss that allows it, maybe ask to work from home sometime.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I think companies should be open to right now. When you see prices to that degree, it saves you one more day to coming in, over a couple of weeks. $15, $20 you can save in your pocket that you can use somewhere else.
Well, we appreciate you making the drive here. Hopefully we can reimburse you for that. Ryan Patel, thank you so much. Great to see you always.